welcome to Radar Festival.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Or should I say, welcome back to Radar Festival? Because I think if I'm right, I think you played at the first festival.
We have definitely played the festival. It might have been the first.
Yeah.
It was in Guildford.
Yes, it
and
was.
You
in
remember
Guildford.
It was the big chandelier.
The
venue.
chandelier. Yes.
Yeah, we have a beautiful shot from that particular
show. Yeah,
show. I remember. Yeah.
It was a good time then as well. It was, of course, a little bit more intimate place.
Yeah. So tell us about that, because it started from sort of small roots down in Guildford, as you say, smaller venue. What's it like coming back now and playing here in Manchester at the Victoria Warehouse?
But it feels like it's been having the same growth as we have. So it feels very, very like when we played there back then. It was huge.
Yeah.
To play that, even though it was intimate.
So back in Guildford, you mentioned the chandelier, but actually throughout, Radar seems to have had a core kind of essence of music and bands and the sort of type of festival that it wants to be. And then you mentioned Vola felt like you've grown with Radar Festival. So do you kind of feel like you're kind of Radar to the core as a band?
I think we need to play there a third time.
Yeah, I think you can tell before we headline.
Headline it, yeah. Maybe that's the next level. But of course, it's one of the festivals where we fit in even more than others. So it's just different types of festival. I think we're very privileged that we can play also festivals where we are maybe not the perfect fit, but they still want our kind of music to be represented at that festival. So it's all cool.
Well, Catherine joins us. You heard the request. A third year. Well, not to be announced now, but obviously.
Well, we're not going to not book Vola. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
I think it's interesting as well, and you were talking there about different festivals. The state of festivals, certainly across Europe, some of the smaller or medium-sized festivals is somewhat in jeopardy over the last few years. Certainly COVID had a big impact as well. And we've spoken to lots of people who've travelled from Scandinavia here today, particularly excited about your set, but also talking about the fact that some of the festivals like this that were over there, they can't seem to go to anymore or don't seem to exist as much anymore. Is that fair, do you think? Or is that kind of like just, it's just change?
I think in Scandinavia overall, there is a festival tradition. So there is just many festivals and people are willing to travel for the ones that they like. So people are also maybe in their yearly budgets, they budget in festivals as like a holiday and then also festivals. So I think there's that. And then just after COVID, at least in Denmark, there was also too many festivals trying to get back in. And then it had to come to a point where only the most important festivals stayed there. They were kind of at a point where every Danish city had to have their own,
but I
there's
think
a limit to how many festivals you can have.
It's still like that. It's like the amount of festivals in Denmark compared to the population is just insane.
It's insane.
Yeah, we have a lot of like really big festivals in Denmark, but like only few of them have booked Vola so far.
The same person have to attend multiple of them for it to work out, you know?
Yeah, of course.
So I don't think, it could be a lot worse in Scandinavia in terms of like going to festivals. They seem to be pretty well attended. Yeah. Maybe there isn't one with the same genre focus as this one yet. Yeah.
So talk to us about your Radar experience. How was the crowd? How was the show? What did it, did you get the atmosphere in the room? It was pretty great from where I was stood.
Yeah. I think we had a long drive from London, so we arrived just before the show. So it was a little bit one of those shows where you are suddenly just on stage playing. There wasn't that much time to like really get into it, and then you got more and more into it during the set.
Do you need a lot of time to get into it? Do you need a lot of
No, it's just the stress of like being a little bit stuck in traffic at the same time and or earlier. So
yeah, I think it changes once you're on stage, but beforehand you always feel like you're not well prepared. But it's also because like a festival like this where there's two venues, Then when you set up your gear, there's no one in the room, and you're like, oh, will people show up? Or
Yeah.
well, then it's the other stage, like the music ends, and then people arrive just before the show, and then you're like, okay, people are actually here to hear.
But that's sort of the point, isn't it, Catherine?
Yeah,
The
so
whole
it makes a
kind
lot of
cashless
sense,
thing.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's nice to not have to choose, and we've got other things, so you don't have to just do music if you want to have a bit of a break. But we do try to program them in a very deliberate way of having that sort of curation of a story for the main stage, or first stage, and then the second one is a little bit of an area deliberately to let loose. And I think that sort of break of, okay, well, I've let loose now, I just want to calm down a little bit and create a different experience. And you can do all of that, or you could only let loose, or you could only have, we try and make it so that people can create their own experience. I find it quite interesting hearing which bands people choose to see, because you can see all of them, and many do, but it's sort of like, I find it, I do it myself, sort of like, oh, I'm going to do this configuration, and you get a completely different experience.
Well, it's a neat segue into one of the questions I usually ask at the end of interviews at festivals, but I'm going to jump in now. What are the bands that are playing today? And I know you've got a busy schedule, but what are the bands today that you were like, I really want to see them, or over the weekend, in fact? Yeah, quick look to the poster, see that?
Yeah. I would have liked to see the Intersphere. We're touring with them in November,
Right.
but we weren't here when they played. I would also have loved to see Throne from the other stage. Pliny I've never seen. And the Midnight, I don't know the music at all, so I like to see stuff I don't have any expectations of. So that would probably be the one I would go to, just to get a surprise.
Yeah.
Hopefully a good one.
I think I will pick Siamese, because that's a Danish band as
on
well.
Sunday.
But they play Sunday. Haven't seen their live show for a while. But also just Tesseract and
But
Leprous.
it's a great overall program.
just
So
like
I feel
everyone.
bad about
Like,
leaving
it
out bands.
Dirty Loops as well. I heard they're
Leprous
pretty
and
insane live.
Tesseract and,
So do you guys have a similar sort of taste in music, or is the result of Vola, a result of a lot of different things that are going into it? And what's the
I think we have very different taste, but usually we can agree on like things that sound good. But we have this Vola listens to playlist where people like pitch in on Spotify one song each, like once a month. And usually I don't like the other people's suggestions. Just pick songs that we like individually and maybe have influenced some of the...
Does that make traveling in the van really difficult? Because you're all fighting over the radio.
No, we're usually only listening to fun music.
Okay.
Like, that we all laugh to because it's just so weird. One of our
Especially
favorites
with
is a song
touring.
called Rooftop Garden.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a funky soul thing, but it's just the lyrics are so weird about a rooftop garden. So just bits and bobs like that. That's what we listen to. We don't put on, check out this song, it's so cool. We never do that. It's only check out this song. It's funny.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, not stupid. It's a great song.
Yeah, it's a great
Be careful what you say.
Yeah.
And then in that melting pot, right, how do you write songs? Are you guys one of these sort of bands that take it away to your bedrooms and write and then email each other? Or do you need to be in a room together? How does the dynamic of Vola work in that way?
Beforehand, I think we kind of, we rehearsed like once a week and got creative together, but now it's more...
That's 10 years ago or more.
Yeah, it's a long,
it's a long time
but
ago.
I think that's the way many bands do it. But I think time have kind of changed and we're like busy individually, so we tend to come up with ideas in our home and then upload it and see what happens and see if other people like grab the idea and try to expand on it.
Yeah.
So
that's what decides if an idea is getting used, is if the other person picks up on it and hears some potential in their taste. Because doesn't matter how much I like it, if Asger doesn't get any ideas on what to sing on it, it's not going to be a Vola song any time.
Right,
so
right.
It's about I maybe put out 10 ideas, and then there's 2 of them that might be something that the other guys feel stands out or whatever. So that's what the final product is like. I guess it's always something that we all like because it goes through that process of elimination of stuff that didn't speak to the other guys.
So you've really got to learn to let go of things, right?
No, I don't mind it because it can be used for other things. It's just a great way of, of not wasting time on something that I only think has something. And a lot of the stuff I put out, I might not even like that much myself.
Yeah.
But maybe some of the other guys can hear something I couldn't in it. Yeah. So you never know.
Yeah.
Because you can sometimes polish something that was a terrible idea into something that was way better than you had hoped.
And obviously, you've been a band for what, almost 18 years, maybe, or almost 19 years now, something like that.
I guess it depends on from where you count. But yeah, some of us has played together since 2006. But back then it was just like, jamming, playing small club shows and playing at your high school and stuff like that.
But the set today was full of, energy. It felt like, this was not a band who were bored of what you're playing. Yeah. And it's been a journey. The music is great, and you've obviously kind of learnt to write together pretty well, as you were talking about. But are you really now sort of getting more of a kick out of the new stuff because it's new? Or do you still really love getting into that back catalogue?
I like to play the old stuff more because I'm always I'm having to think about what I'm playing with the new stuff still. It takes some time to get into the system so I can just enjoy it. Now I'm still with the newer stuff, the new singles and the new album. We need to play the song more times. But it's a great way of getting on your toes again. It gets too easy to play the old stuff.
But normally it takes like one entire tour before things like
of new
before
material.
It's easy to play live.
Before it feels that way for us. But there's
it's always difficult because as I mentioned, we write songs like on the computer, so we haven't played those songs live before we meet up before a tour, for example. So often it's difficult to tell whether this will be fun or easy to play live or whether it will be just a hassle. So there are some songs that's just like it's not very fun to play, and it usually are the easy riffs that tend to be the most popular among us, I think.
Yeah, when you play live, it's just different than on an album.
Bring in a lot of energy and not focus too much on like playing a lot of notes very fast.
Well, I guess when you turn up to the venue just before you're supposed to play, then that makes it easier to do the easy songs, right?
It's also that maybe, but it's just I don't know.
Yeah, but it can change a lot. So like you can have one favorite song like on one tour and another one on another tour. It just
So when you come back to the UK in November for your UK tour, are you going to have been on tour before then? To put in your own words, are you going to be bedded in by then?
Yeah, I think the UK is kind of in the last half of the tour, so I think it'll be all
You're
of the
in
songs.
for the treat.
They're getting polished by then. But I think for the fans, they want to see it the first time. So it's I'm just talking about my enjoyment on stage. It's nicer when I'm less nervous, but I think for the fans, it's way more exciting to see it when we're nervous and get out of our comfort zone because we've played so many shows. It's just nice when it's a little bit on the edge.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you. And look, the reality is that you've had a great couple of visits to Radar Festival. My advice to Vola would be slow down. Take it easy. You can enjoy the festival. And I have to say, last time when we were in Guildford, and we were interviewing, there's 2 stories from that time when you guys played in Guildford. The first one was we were interviewing a lovely band. I can't remember the name of them, but one of you, and I can't remember who it was asleep behind me on the sofa. And I couldn't wake you up, so I just had to do the interview with someone sleeping behind you. But from Vola. You were very tired at that point arriving at the venue. But the other nice story from that way back when was we interviewed Agent Fresco, and in the middle of the interview, they basically just said, "We're going to have to stop. Vola have started," and they walked out.
Nice.
Which was very nice.
They're the best. I've toured with them as a bass player, so they're good friends. Agent
Yeah.
Fresco with
Yeah.
Lepros as well.
We would love to tour together at one point, but
definitely.
Is this a friends fest as well? Have you got other friends that you're meeting up with here at Radar?
Einar from Lepros, I consider a friend too, and they're the Earthside guys we've toured with as well. So when you tour together, you get a bond. And besides that, Siamese is from Denmark.
And we have our entire management team here.
So there's a lot as well. But we're always divided about when should we get home and when should we arrive. There's this debate in the band: we should be using the least amount of time, or we should be able to enjoy the day. So sometimes we do it, but in combination we have 5 kids in the band by now. So we are all dads, dad rock, except for Adam. There's family, and so it's spending 3 or 4 days. It's maybe a bit too much for one show.
Yeah.
If we also want to play a lot of shows, then it's about playing a lot of shows and then being pretty strict about not spending too much time not playing when we're out. So that's the hard part.
Well, maybe you and Joe can take into consideration who's friends and get them all to play on one day.
Yes, I mean, that's certainly one way of programming.
If it wasn't hard enough already, you have to factor in those. They're not friends with each other.
There's quite a lot of considerations when you're putting a lineup together. So adding more parameters to it is always going to make it more exciting, I suppose.
And it would have been like today, where we're just here for a few hours. It would be so annoying if it was all our friends. Like now,
that's true.
They're the best guys, I'm sure, who are playing today. I just don't know them too well.
Yeah.
So not to say anything about that, but so it was perfect that it wasn't a friend fest this year, and then maybe we will spend a few more hours next time.
Basically, we don't really have any friends, so maybe that's.
Whoa.
We have each other.
On that bombshell. Thank you so much for talking to us, Vola. We know you've got a long ride home and then a flight to catch as well. So hopefully we'll speak to you again soon. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.
It was a
It's
pleasure.